resourcefulness within you. And there's a quote that I love so much, and it is, "When the student is ready, the teacher appears." When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And what that means can vary based off of your interpretation of it. There's a lot of moving parts in this quote, and this quote has been around for centuries. It's something that people said that Buddha said. People have said that Jesus said these words. So that tells you the kind of age this saying has and the different places that this saying has been all over the world, and to be coming from me today in the year 2021, coming out of Texas, and these words really stand out to me. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am. You might know me in different capacities. And I am a believer that anything is possible. I am connected to the energy and the sensations all around me at every moment. I am a connector of people and things, and it is important for me to be a part of the energy that's moving forward and be a part of the solution when I see an issue. And so anybody, if you want to share any thoughts that you have and that any solutions that you see, I invite you to come up and share what's going on in your side of the world. What is the energy like? What are the conversations that people are having? What are the worries that they're having? And then maybe the biggest pain point, like, what can we do about it? Is there something that you see as a solution? And then what role do you see yourself playing? What role do you see other people playing? And I'll start it off because I really do see the need that everybody does yoga. Like, that is something that is a game changer. Yoga being so much more than the physical and so much more than, trying to tell your mind to stop racing. It's none of those things when you really get deep into it. Yoga is a connection of self. It literally is the yoking. That's where the yoke part of yoga comes in. It's the yoking of yourself. And before I stopped eating, well, actually, I still eat egg yolks. I just don't eat egg whites. But when I was really getting into baking, I had to grasp, when I started playing around with substituting and trying things out, I had to grasp the purpose of the egg and the purpose of whatever that thing was that I needed to know more about. And the purpose of egg yolk in baking, it's so crucial in many recipes, is that it brings all the ingredients together. And that is what yoga does. Yoga brings all the ingredients of you, your personality, your tendencies, your breath, your physical aspects. It brings that and all of the things that encompass you, and even the things that you don't like about yourself or the things that you're working on within yourself. It brings all of those things and it puts them together. It puts them together through the work that you do to connect that space. And I have personally shifted a terminal illness. People die from my age. I was, first of all, too young to be diagnosed with lupus. And so many people die from lupus. When I started to practice yoga, all the things that they told me in the doctor's offices that I felt about myself, I used it as a way to gain awareness. And the pain that I felt and the inflammation that I felt, I used it as awareness. And I was able to practice yoga in a way that was completely unique to me. I didn't have to be a pretzel. I didn't have to do the handstands. It's not that, it was the connection to my breath. And so I invite you to feel your breath right now. What does it feel like? Is it shallow? Is it deep and full? Can you make your breath a little deeper and fuller? And then you're right there able to practice yoga. It's like magic like that. It just happens. The quality of which your breath happens can impact the quality in which you experience a moment. And to give you some perspective, like our breath shifts based off of where we are. If we're really excited, we might be breathing a certain way. If we're sad, we may angry. You know, there's all these different expressions that our breath shows up in. And when you're aware of your breath, it can be either like a thermometer or like a thermostat. And the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat is that a thermometer just tells me what the temperature is. If I want to know what I need to wear to go outside for a walk with my dog, I go and check the weather app that gives me a thermometer. But if I want to create shift, then I go to the thermostat, and that's the place on the wall where I can actually change the temperature. And yoga, when you use it intentionally, yoga is the thermostat. Like you, any part of yourself, not just your breath, any part of yourself, if you notice that you're leaning over and your posture is unhealthy and it doesn't feel good, like awareness of the physical helps you to bring that back in, bring it up right so that you feel supported by your own bones and your own skeletal system. That's where the yoga comes in physically. So because I practice a physical practice of yoga, I am able to feel my own posture. I'm able to feel when I cross my arms in a defensive manner, or when I open my heart up, you know, for a big hug with my husband. I feel the different positions of my body because I'm familiar with them through the practice of yoga. Same thing for the mindfulness. I'm not trying to make my mind stop racing. It's the continual connection. It's like muscle memory. Your brain literally develops strength in focus when you continue to practice in a way that brings you into strength and focus. And so if there is something that comes up that takes you out of that place, you are then able to recognize that because you've practiced connecting to strength and focus. Same thing for your breath. If you notice that your breath is like, or you can't catch your breath or whatever the situation is, you being aware of your breath and familiar with your breath, immediately you can become aware of that, even if you don't change it in that moment. And it's to be said, like anything you know well, you recognize when it's off. Like my mother, I may call my mother on the phone, and depending on my tone, depending on my voice, like she can pick up from several indicators how I'm feeling because we have an awareness. If I answer the phone and I'm like, hey, mom, she'll ask me, oh, are you tired today? Hey, mom. Oh, what's going on today? You know, there's a clear distinction in that it becomes clear because of the awareness. And so that happens within you because your relationship with yourself is the key to developing the ability to do that. Hey, Desiree. Hey, so yeah, I can hear you. I don't know how long you've been on because I've kind of been looking. I'm also streaming this on YouTube for people who don't have Clubhouse, don't have iPhones. And I'm just talking about like everything that goes on in the world. When I see it, I think about, what can I be doing to make the world better? Because there's so much that's needed, and I know that I can't do it alone. I have no desire to do that, but I would love to connect with other people who have the same mindset. They want to make a change, they want to make a shift. And 1 + 1 = 11 when we put our energy together.
Yeah, I just got on. I'm actually in the car at the airport making sure that Kaya didn't miss her flight.
Ooh, super mom. Da, 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 da. You're such a good mom. I don't know if I ever gave you your flowers about that, but I have noticed like you prioritize taking care of yourself so that you can be such a good mom. And you're so thoughtful about your kids and taking care of what they need, and it's really good to see.
Well, thank you. You're included in that.
I smile.
Yeah.
Well, feel free to mute if you need some time to take care of what you have to take care of, and then hop back in whenever you want to hop back in. Okay, so a little bit about Desiree. I always love to brag on the people that I love, because especially, when they're just badass all around. So Desiree is a licensed pharmacist. So she has a lot of knowledge about the use of different ingredients, found in nature and otherwise, that are good for helping out different ailments or improving different aspects of your life and your wellness. And she's been someone that I've looked up to for a long time. She actually indirectly and directly helped me to really create healing and wellness in my body. So I used to take 8 pills a day at one time for the lupus diagnosis that they assigned to me back in 2009. And I've known her since childhood. And, just having the ability to access her, we reconnected through yoga. We were actually at the same yoga studio for a long time. And having the ability to benefit from her knowledge and wisdom, I've always really regarded her with that level of respect, because, we're all human, and she has consistently shown her true nature, which is to be of service and to help others. And so I admire that in her, and I recognize it in her. And so she's definitely one of the people who I respect in the yoga and wellness industries. So I just really love having those type of people around me, and people who, when they put a goal in their mind, they're able to achieve that goal and to overcome the obstacles, because there always are obstacles. If there weren't obstacles, then there wouldn't be lessons to be learned. And I appreciate the type of influence that she's had in her communities as well, because she's definitely always been a giver of advice for dealing with different things on the physical and the non-physical aspects. So, yeah. Whew, I was supposed to go live yesterday, and I did not get a chance to. I felt like I had allowed technology to frustrate me. And so I am now in a space of flow. And so I commit to continuing to provide spaces for people to, come up and share. This is not just a one-sided conversation. I recognize that as a teacher, it's still a luxury, an opportunity, a pleasure always for me to learn. And that is something that I feel like, when people have that quality, I vibe with them. Like, we cool. Like, okay, you like learning too? Okay, we're good. Because whenever we stop learning, we stop growing. And so the ability to be in the flow of and receiving of knowledge and wisdom, that's something that I do recognize. So what I was looking up before this call, I mean, we there's a lot of different things that I've been looking into. So I've been looking into what's going on and what has been going on in the Capitol, and I've been also researching what's going on the ground in different areas in the US. So, as far as yoga goes, there have been increasing numbers of yogis of color, and people have been able to access free and paid and in studio and virtual. All types of yoga have been made accessible. Even myself, I have started teaching a Saturday AM class. It's 8 a.m. Central, and that is via Zoom. And why I like to do it via Zoom is that I get the opportunity to give you feedback and alignment and safety. And then you get the opportunity to see any demonstrations and things like that. So for safety reasons, I like to use the Zoom. And if you are interested, if you want to start yoga and you don't have a yoga teacher that you already vibe with, come join me. I am very much a silly person. I am very much a person that, I will give you a practice that you will be able to tap into on whatever level of receiving you are ready for. And if you would like to be a part of that, if you want to jump in on that, if you want to move your body, if you want to stimulate your immune system, if you want to let your nervous system de-stress, if you want to take deep breaths, if you want to be present in your body in the moment and create that yoking aspect of you in the physical, in the breath, and in the mindfulness, then I invite you to come on. It is through my Patreon link, just so that you create this commitment for yourself and you know that you always have somewhere to join every Saturday. So that is my offering. I don't usually teach public classes because I prefer to be in the trainer world, because I get to go so much more in depth in training than I can ever go in a 1 hour class. So the 1 hour class for me, it's a chance for people who may not have the ability to practice with a yoga teacher already. Like, if you already have a yoga teacher, practice with him or her. Practice as often as you can with that person, and just allow yourself to be mentored in whatever way you feel led. If you come to take my class, I don't have to be your only yoga teacher. I actually encourage you to get different perspectives, because I can only speak from mine and I can only make offerings that I'm aware of. Other people are aware of other things. So if you would like to join, just go to the Instagram link in my bio and click on the Saturday 8 a.m. class. Sign up through Patreon and you will immediately get a link that will take you to the class. Now, that's the same link every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Just for simplicity, come back to that link and then you will already be in the community. And I also have it built in where you get like different merch and stuff. So we can all dress alike and do stuff like that. So I just like to create community. So we're gonna start doing that intentionally even more this year. If you feel like you haven't found a place and you haven't felt welcome in a yoga space, this is the space where you are welcome. This is the space where you can come and join us and move your body and create your own healing. That's the thing about, there's this FDA, all this kind of stuff saying that, we can't say that we're healers. And for clarification, it is 100% legal to heal yourself. And that's the only thing that you can do is heal yourself. There is no amount of magical yoga instant sprinkles on you that is going to heal you. Like, it is up to you to heal yourself, and you can do that in so many different ways. So the benefit of being plugged into a community of healers is that we all have healed different aspects of our own lives. And so we can share our experiences with you, and then you take what you feel aligned with, you leave what you don't. So, hey, Steven, I see you on stage. How are you, brother?
Doing well. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you. I know you mentioned that you do meditation.
I do. I meditate, and I'm getting back into yoga. One thing that is on my list of fitness goals this year is to gain a yoga certification by October of this year.
Awesome. Oh, you should. I don't know what your schedule is like. And there are lots of trainings happening. I'm hosting one that is February to April with a May graduation, May 15th graduation. You should check it out. Our applications are open. We have 4 spots left, so we're almost sold out. So if you're interested, or if anyone in the room, if you want to become a yoga teacher, you want to get the certification, you can check that out in my bio.
Word. I'm gonna jump in your bio and see what we got cooking.
Yes, and I love this image. Where did you get this image from, like the cartoon?
So my lady is an artist and illustrator, and she created it. I think last summer she was just doing a lot of self-portraits so that she could add some Black joy into the world.
Yes.
So, she did this for me, and I haven't changed my profile picture since. I think this is my picture across all social media. So every now and then people get to see my real face if they follow me on Instagram or Facebook and stuff like that. But we're going to rock out with the art.
I love that. I love that. I feel like that's needed too. You know, that's the thing, is like healing isn't only one way. You can heal yourself through art, like just by promoting people of color in her artwork. She, you know, now people can recognize themselves and say, wow, you know, I love me. I'm in that new way. I just love that. I'm so excited about people who intentionally show up in the communities that need it, in the communities that need joy, need happiness, need breath, need Reiki, wherever the modality is, yoga, meditation. So what's your favorite way to meditate, Stephen?
So I start my mornings with meditation. It's a guided meditation from either the Liberate app, the Calm app, and then somebody just hit me with an app called Shine. And so I'm going to check it out sometime this week. But I usually do, clear my space. I light my sage, clear my room, and then I meditate right in front of my altar that's in my meditation room. Like, we took everything out of our office in our house and turned it into a meditation room that has like specific, and I use it for Reiki practices too. So if I'm performing Reiki on someone or sending distance Reiki to someone, then I'll do it in that room. And so all of our crystals are in there, stones, like everything is in there. And I think it also adds to the space as far as helping me get in the mindset of meditation to where I can do it in less, let's say, I guess, places that aren't as quiet or give you space to meditate. Like today I was around, or I'm at my parents' house right now because they're getting some windows installed. And I meditated here in the living room while they were beating down the wood and putting all this other stuff in there. So I think because I've been more consistent, like it's easier to practice wherever I am.
That is such a good point, because, it can be easy to identify the challenges. Like, oh, well, I can't meditate because this and that and this and that. And there really is no like magic meditation formula where it has to be this level of quiet, and that's not the reality of life. So I appreciate you for bringing awareness to that. And I love that there's so many people who do Reiki. I am curious if there are any Black Reiki masters. Hey, Desiree, you have something you want to share? Oh, guess not. That must have been the club.
Desiree, we can't hear you.
Oh, I wasn't saying anything, but it kept on in and out. So I'm in a team. If you know anything about teams, they're very noisy. That's one of the reasons why I get quiet. I get somewhere stationary for this call.
Okay.
Put out there for DJs. Are you doing, and it's just for everyone, you may be interested, are you doing any kind
I heard. I think the question I heard you ask is, have I done distance Reiki? And I missed the second half of that, but I've done distance Reiki, and go ahead.
I was going to say, a lot of people don't know that you can do distance energy healing. And so the call is really about it's an emergency call for healers in our community. And that's a great way for people to receive healing, and they don't have to leave their home. And so that's something they can do.
As far as, and I think you're exactly right. And as a practitioner of Reiki, I was going to say, as a practitioner of Reiki, I think that when I first started doing Reiki, I wasn't really sure about how well the distance Reiki would work. But as I've learned it, like I'm getting more experience in it, and I see the effect that it has on people that I work with.
Hey, Desiree, can you?
I just signed up.
Hey, Desiree, can you mute your mic? Okay.
I was going to say, I just signed up for the Divine Healing Network as a volunteer. And so a couple times a week, I'm in a group that sends healing to people who really, really need it and can't maybe afford a Reiki practitioner or, find one to work with. And so, like, if people are interested, I mean, I'm down to answer questions, but also I think that there are a lot of ways that we can learn more about Reiki and healing ourselves. Like this room is about healers, but I think as I became a Reiki practitioner, I've started becoming more aware of other ways that we can heal ourselves. So not just Reiki, but communication, eating right, yoga, breathing intentionally, like all of these different things. And so, distance Reiki is a thing, but there are also things that we can do like in-house or in car or wherever to kind of kickstart that healing too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't need a yoga mat. You don't need a yoga block. You don't even need a special outfit to be able to tap into the healing of yourself. What you mentioned about Reiki, for any of those who don't know, I invite you to look into Reiki, Reiki, look it up. And essentially, we get to tap into the energy that's around and within us. And when we tap into that intentionally, anything is possible. Everything is possible. And I love that you mentioned that you are joined up with a group that intentionally provides good into the community. I've heard of something like this. They had this meditation hour I have to look it up. So let me look it up. There's this meditation hour that they did in some city where they had a lot of violence and crime rates. And so every time slot that they chose, so whatever hour it was, let's say it was that, on Friday nights at 10 o'clock p.m., there were murders or that's when the highest murders happen in their city. So they would get together at 9:30 to, whatever time, 10:30, for example, p.m., and all of these people would meditate at the same time during those hours, and they saw a decline in the amount of violence that occurred in their city at that time. So now that I've said that, I'm going to look that up. Have you heard about that, Stephen? Did you ever hear about that?
No, I haven't, but I can see why that would work, because people gathering together and focusing on one thing, energy is real, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the way that I explain, for people who are not familiar with Reiki, the way that I explain it to people is that if you're familiar with chiropractors or, what they do, they balance your spine. And so when you go to a Reiki practitioner, they balance your energies. And when I say energies, if you've ever walked into a room and been like, dang, something's kind of off, or like Alicia was saying earlier, when she calls her mom, depending on her tone, her mother can tell, like, oh, well, what's going on? And so it's the same thing when you feel that in your body, like, something might be off. And a Reiki practitioner helps you rebalance your energies, similar to how a chiropractor rebalances your spine. And so imagine all of those people together who have rebalanced their energy, or at least they're conscious of it, sitting together and intentionally focusing on peace and calmness. Like that's a game changer. I've never heard of that, and I don't know what city that's in, but please post that. Let's see. What
I will post it. Am I
post it in
unmuted?
IG stories. Yeah.
Okay, great. I will definitely post it because I'm reading the report right now, and they said that this happened around 2002 to 2006. There was this increase, like crazy trend of homicides. And it just says urban. It doesn't say what city. So maybe I'll have to look in the references of the article to find additional information. And it says that it was so much that a large group of people got together and meditated. And that in the next 3 years, there was a decrease in violent crime, so that they align it with that meditation. So yes, I will post this in my stories on Instagram, y'all. You can look into it. I'm gonna also be reading research behind this because I find this extremely interesting. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who would be down to meditate, to save our world, to meditate, to have, violence decrease. Like the sheer thought of the amount of power behind positivity that, this is even possible, that's exciting. So yeah, I'm going to be posting that. Give me a second and I'll post that to my story. So if y'all don't already follow me on Insta, it's at Afro Yoga. So I'm going to go ahead and share that resource with y'all. That just blew my mind right now. And I'm so glad that I thought of that. I love that. That's dope. Okay.
And I know that you started this room like to bring healers together. And so I'm interested to see like what other people in the audience are doing in regards of healing and thinking, like in terms of just keeping the stress off of them, off the shoulders and then out of their body. And for all the foolishness that happened yesterday, like how do you stay even keeled? So I'd love to hear from more folks who are in the room.
Yes, and we have some yoga teachers in the room. We have some healers in the room. So if you have some advice, because we also have some people who may never have tried yoga, maybe don't have a yoga teacher. These people are in the room. Can we share some knowledge with them? Because we already did share a little bit, but there's always more to be learned. And okay, so that is live on my page on Instagram. So if you want to check that out, you can go check my stories. Gabby, I'm inviting you up. You have so much wisdom. If you can talk, come share with us. I know you got an active little one. So if you can, share some of your knowledge, my sister. And Vana, I'm inviting you too if you want to share some knowledge. I've also noticed something that is really curious, and I've been hinting at it with my husband. So it's really funny. So my husband is the type of person, he doesn't feel like the meal is complete if it ain't some meat on it. And so for him, I honor that. I make his meals. He has meat with every meal. Like he is very adamant about that. I have no problem with that. That's something I don't ever try to change. I don't force things on people. I'm very much like, figuring things out for myself. So I allow people the space to do their own figuring out. And my husband has this thing about getting donuts. And he'll come home and when he comes home from work, there's a little bag of donuts like near the trash or in the trash. Sometimes it doesn't really make it to the trash unless I put it in the trash. So I see when he has donuts, and I just, I don't give him shit about it. I just feel like, they're not a healthy option for me. And I know that I physically feel sick when when I eat things like that. And so when he does, and he'll come to me and he'll say, babe, my stomach is hurting. And the first thing I asked him, like, why do you think that is? And to give him the opportunity to, have some type of reflection. And then he'll tell me, oh yeah, my stomach hurts. Can you push down on it right here? And so I'll push down on it, and there's pain involved. And later on, I found a donut bag. So that was today. So later on, I found a donut bag, and I said, hey, babe, you forgot to eat all your donuts. Like, he had one that was partially eaten. And then I was like, oh yeah, your stomach was hurting today. And then immediately he has awareness in his eyes. Like, wow, now he associates the result of eating that thing with the actual thing itself. So before, it was separate. So just like for me, when I was eating milk and all the things that I felt sick from eating, I did not associate those things together. It was just like later on, I happened to have a stomach ache. I happened to have, some irritable situations happening, and I didn't put the two together. Go ahead. I think somebody was about to share.
Hey, Alicia. Hey, everybody.
Hey, girl. Oh, I have to pull to refresh. Okay, I see you up here now. Hey, girl.
Hey, so this is my absolute first time ever being in a Clubhouse conversation, so I had no idea how to actually speak in here.
Yeah. So glad you're here.
Yeah, so I'm actually at work, so I'm just listening in, but I can offer a little bit of, I guess, some of the ways that I cope with things going on, especially with the nonsense of yesterday. Guys, I'm real big on boundaries, and I had to set an energetic boundary for myself about how much I was going to consume, how much I was going to watch, because I'm somebody that's very energetically sensitive. So at one point, I had to go ahead and disconnect, and I took a moment to tap in with things that bring me joy. And at my core, that's probably one of my most important ways of dealing and ways of coping is I have to take a mindful moment at that, and think about, what could bring me joy in this moment. And for me yesterday, it was watching the Disney movie Soul, which is awesome. If you haven't watched it yet, please go watch it.
I am hesitant about anything Disney. So I feel like they're going to be trying to program me. And like, I haven't watched it yet, even though it looks really interesting.
It's really cute. I feel you on the Disney thing. I totally feel you. The movie actually does talk about meditation and stuff. It's really cute. I like it a lot.
I may be interested in checking it out. Has anyone else seen that movie? Huh?
I said, at least watch the first 30 minutes. If you don't like it, turn it off.
I feel like I will like it, but I feel like that's the point, is that, I'll be seeing things unintentionally. So I have to look it up and see what the people in the public have said about it, and then I'll try it out.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's just an example of doing things that bring you joy. We all have a birthright to joy. And, as Black people, there are so many different things that try to keep us from that. And we have to just be very intentional about creating space for joy in our lives.
I feel that. I don't even watch the news, because I know that, all the most important things are just going to come to me. Like, I learned about what happened yesterday because the people who I love watch the news. And I just know, as far as my empathic, and I'm just not able to digest everything energetically and maintain the desires that I have for my energy. So yeah.
Yeah, I also found out just social media or people sending me things and stuff. People I know who are very engaged in paying attention to the news and stuff. I'm also not a news watcher. So yeah, and plus me working outside of my home and working for a government institution, it's kind of hard to avoid. Yeah, again, boundaries. I have to say, pretty intense boundaries.
That's real. That's real. Well, thank you for sharing. I know that you're working and you're doing the things and making the world a better place. So it's really very much appreciated you sharing your thoughts.
Of course, I hope y'all can hear me well, because I do have a mask on, so I hope I don't sound like I'm whispering.
Oh, it was
Y'all can hear me?
fine. It was audible. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, thank you for letting me speak.
Yes, yes, ma'am. So glad that we have given you the opportunity to speak, and now you'll be speaking all over the place in Clubhouse.
Now I know how to work it.
Exactly. Okay, just to reset the room, we are talking about what we can do, what we see right now, and what needs to be done in the world. Some things that have been brought up are just personal growth and personal growth with the intention of sharing it. So Stephen mentioned that he wants to get his yoga teacher training certification this year. That's something that's been put on his spirit to do and to take action on. And he already does share other modalities of healing. For me, what's been put on my spirit was to create some type of community where we all meditate at one time every week or something similar to like that. I don't know, maybe it's a room, I don't know what it looks like, but that we intentionally choose a time and a place, and then we come together and increase that positive energy. And that's based off of a study that they did back in the years 2007 to 2010, right after they had a 4-year spike in violence in what they say urban areas, wherever that is. And what they saw was that there was a significant decrease in violence, in social violence, especially in that time, with that intention of the study was to measure that. So I have posted that story on my Instagram. So if you go to Afro Yoga, click my stories and you'll see the link there. So I invite you to do your own research, check that out. And then if you have the ability to contribute or you want to be a part of that, just follow me on all the platforms. Whenever we get a team together of people who really want to make this happen, then I'll be shouting it from the mountaintops to everyone and anyone who will listen. So if you want to be a part of that in some type of admin capacity, DM me, slide in the DM, slide in the comments. Sometimes DMs are a little funky. So slide in the comments and then we can connect and see what that looks like. And then what Gabby brought up is one of her solutions was that she creates boundaries. She has a clear distinction about what she allows in and what she doesn't. And you can do that in multiple ways in your life. You can do that with the news. You can do that with people who you have a toxic relationship. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that person. It just means that your relationship with them may need some distancing or some space. You can do boundaries in so many different areas. I even do boundaries with my dog, and it's something that is practiced. It's something that is practicable. It's trainable. And I mean, at our core, we all have boundaries, whether or not we have them clearly defined. And so I'm so glad she brought that up, because whatever you allow, that's something that's within the boundaries. And until you actually define boundaries, you won't be able to create something intentional that you enjoy. It's kind of like, what we do, bump our heads until we figure out, okay, well, I don't need to do this. And so that's the same way boundaries work. We figure out some things, whether we earn them through our own personal space or we learn them through, someone else who might see an example of something and we know, okay, I don't want to do that. I'm opening up the stage. If anyone else has some advice of what we can do, what's going on in the world right now and in our communities right now, how can we create shift? How can we save ourselves and our people? How can we heal within ourselves so that that transfers over to more and more people? How can we protect ourselves so that we, have success? What are some things that stand out to you guys? Share any advice that you have. And I see Yumi in the room. Hey, sis, do you have any advice? So like, what can we do right now? There's so many crazy things going on in the world. How can we uplift the frequency? So if you want to share, please come on and share. Thank you for joining us. I think I added you, but I'm not sure. It's saying that you're added, but I don't see you on stage. So hopefully we can get that technicality fixed. Here it says we've sent the invite. Okay, so hopefully we get that figured out. Invite. Oh man, I love learning new things. So this is really curious to me. Like, I'm not sure. Maybe it's my internet connection. Let me turn my Wi-Fi off. Maybe that will help. Okay. Problem solving happening. Okay, let me try turning it back on. Now, let's see. All right, well, we're just gonna let it do what it do. And oh, there we go. Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, you never know. I'm pretty sure it's me, not you.
We can hear you. Oh yeah, because you're so far away.
How are you? And also the app has been acting up since all day, so I'm pretty sure it's not you. So I'm so glad you did this Zoom, Alicia, because I feel like we all need a safe space. And to be honest, I want Black people to sit this one out. I just want us to just focus on us, focus on our healing, focus on us protecting ourselves, because for a long time we saw this coming. Many people predicted this, what happened yesterday, to happen. I think it shocked a lot of people that it actually happened. But many people predicted this, and many people expected this to happen. This is what happens when you have a country that refuses to take accountability, that refuses to really look at its issues, and that constantly put money and power over the people. And I think we're realizing what it looks like when power is in the wrong hand and people get affected immediately by it. And for brown and Black people and people of color that experience what June was like, what May was like, and what most of our lives have been like, I think we need to just sit this down, okay? Protect our family. Understand that we are not stuck in the United States. We don't have to stay there. And allow what's happening to happen and let them handle it. Let them handle it. My concern is for Black people to heal. And it's not to try to help white people when they feel like violating their own country, because they are now seeing what they put in power is not working for them anymore, because this generation is asking for more. That's not my concern. I don't think it should be any of our concern for brown and Black people. I think we should sit this one out and focus on our healing. Focus on the Black family. Focus on the fact that we need to create our own income, our own source of financial stability, that the government is not our hero, that the government does not care to really want riches for the brown and Black people. We need to understand that. It's not to say that there aren't good white people in this world and we shouldn't want the healing. As healers, I think sometimes we get conflicted by wanting to tell people, peace, peace, peace. But there is a time under heaven for everything. And what is happening right now is the karma of America. And Black people should sit this one down. Let it happen.
That's a whole word right there. And I feel like that's very valid. There is so much happening, and what's really happening is that within ourselves, there's a lot of energy, and we have to take care of our own, like you would recognize Flex and Fly, because she does yoga in airport, stretching in airports, and that's the Flex and Fly brand. They're all over. And we have to secure our own mass before we can help others, before we can help the world. And that's really what being a healer is about. You have to heal yourself and pour into yourself. And so I'm so grateful that you brought that up to the forefront, because this is not about, we need to do something about what other people are doing. This is 100% about what action can we take within ourselves, our own lives, our own bodies, our own minds, that can contribute to progress towards a desired goal. And so I'm really glad to bring awareness to that aspect as well. That was a really good point, Yumi.
I think also, Alicia, that sometimes black and brown people just have this guilt, right? Like we need to protect and we need to take care of people that have shown us that we are not of value, of importance. And I think that what is important to know as healers, because we are emotionally connected to everyone and we want everyone to be well. But again, there is a thing such as reciprocity, right? And karma is good and bad. And there are certain things that must take place for the pain that a lot of people have faced. And this situation that's happening right now in America, honestly, it's embarrassing, right? And it's devastating, right? Because for so many brown and black people, that is our home. But it is our home because that's all we know, not because we are seen as valued, equal people there. And I think we have to learn to compartmentalize certain things. And that doesn't mean you have to go and be hardened and be like, well, that's not my business. That's not what I'm saying. Pay attention, use wisdom, but understand when to move and when to say things and when to not. There was a time when a lot of people was quiet when it came to us. And it's still that way in a lot of ways. But we're seeing what it looks like when people say things and then their own people do it, whether or not they're going to be held accountable. And black people, all we need to do is just go and retweet, reshare, and just stay in silence. We need to move the way this country act like they want us to move and just be silent and watch them do what they do. Because honestly, things must break down sometimes in order for healing to occur. And I think this is inevitable.
That sounds like some wisdom right there. And that's something that sticks out to me in the yoga practice, is that the more and more that I'm connected within myself, the more that I'm able to realize that I cannot control things that are out of my control. And there are a lot of things that we cannot control. There are a lot of opportunities for us to worry about those things and to stress about those things. And the reality is that worrying and stressing about that which we cannot control literally does nothing towards, if we just cried about all the things, and let me clarify, I'm not saying not to process your feelings. I am a big proponent of crying if you need to cry. And it's about being able to take action on the things that we can take action on instead of worrying unnecessarily about that we cannot. And you brought up a good point, Yumi. You talked about moving abroad, going somewhere else. You know, there are places around the world that actually do want us to be there, that are actually welcoming of people who are of different ethnicities and backgrounds. And, you know, places like Ghana has been notably very welcoming to people of color, especially. They even are offering citizenship. So there's some different things that you have to do to meet the requirements. But, you know, places like where Yumi is now, the beautiful Colombia, there are, you know, opportunities for, you know, trying and exploring. And Yumi, I think your mic was moving. I don't know what that means. Does that mean that you were like wanting to talk?
I'm agreeing with you. That's mean, like you're applauding, like you're agreeing with what the person is saying, etc.
How do you do that?
You just press it like this one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
It took me a while to even ask that and notice that. I'm like, why is that? I love that. That's cool.
And I want to tell people, like, Colombia is amazing. That's Black people friendly. You know, it's okay to, you know, we have this mentality where we just feel like, and I plan on going back to the States in New York. I have homes that I'm buying. Like, you know, I plan on going all over. However, I just feel like the time when we used to think that we have to stick to a place that does not desire us, that does not value us, that we have to fight and struggle. It's kind of like that relationship, that bad, traumatic, unhealthy guy you're dealing with or girl you're dealing with. And you just keep hoping it'll get better, right? And you refuse to look outside of what you know. And I feel like for many Black and brown people, that's America. You guys are just here, like, you know, you're just fighting, you're just disagreeing, and you just keep trying to be seen by a place that don't want to see you. And I feel like so many people think like, oh, this is my home. And it's like, no, this isn't your home. It's not your home. If we think about it, it's not our home. You've made it your home. And if you want to stay there, like I do, of course, you can make it happen. But at times we have to use wisdom and recognize what's happening. Like, this is not a fight. White people being angry shouldn't deter Black people. Okay? It shouldn't make us feel like, oh, they're you know, we got to do something now. This is not our fight. This is what happens when white people that are extremely privileged and entitled and feel like they deserve every single thing in this whole world, get angry. They act like children. They try to break and take everyone's liberty and proper stuff away. This is not our fight. Let them do what they do. Because during Black Lives Matter, there was a lot of things that they did not do. We're not going to speak up. We're not going to keep being saviors for people. I am not Jesus Christ or whoever it is that you believe in. Brown and Black people need to take care of themselves. And we have this empathetic, like, emotional feelings toward people that hate us. And I'm talking about the ones that hate us, okay? And I'm talking about a country that has set it up for those people that hate us to survive and be successful. I am not interested in them in any form of way. I do not feel bad about all the stuff that's happening because there is a time for everything. And I'm going to keep saying that. This is inevitable. We all were expecting this. Things need to crash. It's kind of like when you get your heart broken. Your heart needs to be broken in order for it to open. America needs to change. And there are certain things that's going to happen that we're not going to be proud of, we're not going to like. But America has a lot of skeletons that they don't need to be proud of anyway. And if this is how it's going to start and people are scared, you should have been scared. You should have been nervous. Because brown people and Black people have been literally warning you guys about this in the first place. And so my whole thing with anyone that's brown and Black here and that is interested in taking care of themselves, you're not stuck in America, leave.
Mm.
You can go back when it's better. Just like white people leave all the time until they feel like it gets better. Okay? You're not stuck there. Create a life that you really want to manifest. Create a life that you really are proud of. Be in a space where you feel fulfilled in a life and valued and appreciated. And don't try to take care of the people that constantly cause you harm. It is not your fight. Sit down, Black people. This is not our fight. Let them do their thing. Let them figure it out. But this is not our fight. You know what? Just like they wanted to know everything else, go ahead. Make some calls. Okay? Make some calls. Write an email. Send that. But this needs to happen. This needs to happen right now.
You dropped some points on there, and I'm definitely feeling what you're saying. I feel your passion, and I know quite a few people who have moved to different places. Like a friend who's moved to Mexico. I personally am a big proponent. I've lived in a couple different places in my life. And whenever I find somewhere that I want to go to, instead of thinking from the mindset of like, oh, I can't go there, or I can't afford it, or I can't this, or I can't that, I think from the mindset of how can I make this work? How can I fill in the blanks? And that has been a game changer for me. I've lived in several different countries and states and places, and it's possible. You just have to think outside of what you're doing now to create a change. And Desiree, it looked like you took your mic off. Do you want to share?
Oh, yes. I'm finally home and out of the noisy Jeep.
Oh, I love me that noisy Jeep, girl.
So, well, first I want to address some of the points that Yumi mentioned. And hi, Yumi. Are you Colombian, or are you just living there?
I'm just living here. I'm Haitian, but I was raised in New York City and lived in New York City all my life.
All right, sac passe.
Hey.
All right. I'm Panamanian, and so Colombia and Panama used to be one country at one point. And
yes, I remember.
Yeah, and I'm actually in the process now. I was born in New York, and my parents, my parents and my siblings are born in Panama. And so because of that, I can get my citizenship. And so my older brother is actually there right now. So he's getting our father's death certificate so that the rest of us that are here can get our citizenship. So we're in the process of that now. And my daughter is working for Citibank, and she has the option to move. And Panama is one of the places. And so once she's done the first year here, then that's where she's going. So we're excited. And my oldest brother is actually moving back home. So he's moving in May. He's there now, but he's going to come back and he's going to stay. But what I wanted to say about the travel is when I moved to Texas from New York, I met so many people that have never been on an airplane before. Like that was shocking to me because when you're Caribbean, we back and forth all the time. And it was shocking to me to move to the South and meet so many people that have never been on an airplane. And I think a lot of people we're attached to America, of course, because this is where we landed, right? This is where they brought us, and this is all we know. We don't have ties to Africa. So, it's foreign, it's strange. And I think as more of us begin to travel and, come back and share our experiences, more people will be open to moving and looking at other places. But I have friends now who've moved to Switzerland. They moved like all over the world. And there are Black people in every country on the planet, like everywhere. There are Black communities everywhere. Some may not be as big as others, but there are. We do have options. And so I think it's up to those who do travel to just kind of share that and spread that information with other people. Like there is life outside of America. You can be comfortable outside of America. And so I think if we start to make that look better, maybe more of us will be more apt to at least exploring, at least traveling. You may not have to give up your city. I mean, I wouldn't give up my citizenship here because this is the most powerful country on the planet. But, it's still good to be, to start to plant seeds in other places. So that's one. And then we were talking about self-care, and it really starts with you. Like you have to be in a good place. I think you mentioned that, Alicia, that you have to put the mask on first, right? You have to save yourself first. make sure you're in a good place before you help someone else. And I think right now, a lot of us are in fear. A lot of us are hurting. And when I was looking at all the footage from yesterday, not that I'm siding with any of the others, but what I felt, energetically in my body was a lot of fear, a lot of pain, not from us, but on their side. And these, the others are angry, and they're in fear. They're in fear that, what if the people that we have stepped on for all these years, for centuries, really, what if they rise up? What does that mean for us? And so they're operating out of a space of fear. And when you're operating in fear, you are not going to make really good decisions. And I think that's why a lot of us are, kind of fearful. When all this started going on, everybody started, buying guns and getting, their weapons. And I'm all for it. But it's out of fear of retaliation because they are in fear. They're operating in fear. I think we have to move from operating in fear and start to look, because fear is a vibration too, right? And so we have to look at just operating from a space of love, like loving ourselves first, and then loving those around us, and then it spreads. It'll spread that way if we take care of ourselves first, and then others. In my healing is through yoga, of course, but my specialty or my jam in yoga is yin yoga. And in yin yoga, it's very energy focused. It's a very slow practice. If you're not familiar with yin yoga, and if you haven't taken a class, I really recommend that you do. But in yin yoga, we slow down enough that you can connect to yourselves, not your physical self, but we make the connection between our physical selves and our authentic selves, and your spirit, whatever you want to call it.
Yin yoga is no joke.
Your energetic self. And I use that as healing. And that's because that really is what it is. I use it for myself, and that's what I teach. I teach, different types of yoga, but that's like my main thing because there is a lot of healing. And yoga in itself, the whole umbrella of yoga, not just asana, but it's a healing modality. And I think that we need to begin to heal ourselves first, and then move from just healing ourselves, and then really touching the people around us, the people in your household, the people on your job, the people, just whoever you can. We really need to spread this message. And so I really appreciate this platform and being invited up here today, Alicia. And I would really love to hear from some of the other healers.
Hi, can I speak now?
Yeah, thank you, Desiree. Satya, share with us.
Hi, Satya. Hi. So I was listening to what Flex and Fly said, and I felt like so many things that she said I resonated with because I live in Costa Rica. I've been living here for about 7 years, and I left the United States because I was sick of racism. And I moved to the Caribbean of Costa Rica, and I feel as though there's just not enough Black people that are living internationally. And I think it's because there's a lack of representation of seeing us live in other countries. And I also think, I completely agree with what Flex and Fly said as well. I don't think this is our fight. I'm seeing on social media Black people becoming distressed and stressed out, and it's like, this is definitely not our fight. We can definitely back out of this and sit back and see what's going on. This has nothing to do with us. And so it's just mind-blowing to see Black people having these emotional reactions to this when this is just ultimately not our fight. And then another thing that I wanted to say that I agreed with Flex and Fly, it was just basically the all around, encouraging and inspiring Black people to know that we are not limited to the United States. When you leave the United States, that privilege just flips because if you're an American, when you leave, you can use that American privilege in another country. The rent, everything is cut down. I've been living out of the country for 7 years and everything is way more cheaper. I think that people have this misconception that when they leave the United States, it's going to be super expensive, but it's actually way less expensive than if you were to live there. And I think that it's also a good place for people that practice yoga or are into holistic wellness or healing or anything within that room. And then something else Flex and Fly said that I felt like made a lot of sense. I think that in healing, we constantly think that healing is just sprinkling love and light onto things and like pretending as though the bad things don't exist and ignoring them. But we have to go through that shadow work in order for anything to heal. And so I think that like in order for things to be restructured, you need to have some sort of destruction. And so we have to also integrate those things in our healing practices, because I see it far too much where people really believe that healing is solely just love and light. Let's pretend that everything is good. Let's put on a front. Let's act like I'm not upset about something when I know I truly am. Let's hide our true emotions. And that's ignoring the shadow realm. And, you know, the shadow realm is not necessarily a bad thing if you know how to integrate it right. But I think that like that needs to be spoken about more in healing in general, because there's a lot of quote unquote light workers that are suffering because they are pretending to be happy or in bliss when they are not, because they're told that they're not allowed to be their full authentic self. And so we are supposed to be our authentic self. So we are supposed to feel bad and good and all of these emotions. You know, if we want to go into the dark divine feminine energy, that's the chaotic energy, that's destruction. But you know, it's been so oppressed that we run from it. And so I think that like seeing the world explode, of course it's heavy, but at the same time it's not black and white. And also, in order for anything to be built, you need to have destruction. So I just wanted to say that.
Satya. First of all, you know how much I love your work, especially when it comes to shadow work. And thank you. I knew we were aligned with this because of the fact that you've done the work and you've left this country. And I want to point out about the fact that there is a poverty mindset that exists in America for Blacks that is perpetuated by America, because there are so many wealthy Blacks outside of America living their best life. So many people, let's break this down. In America, there's this idea of the middle class, which is just essential. Okay, let's just be very clear about that. And so many people work so hard to try to get to a place where they are trying to, you know, be the best and, you know, work their way up corporate and do all this stuff where they literally kill themselves physically, emotionally, and mentally. This idea of having a life that you enjoy while actually doing the work that you love is like it's kind of like, no, it can't exist, because America expects you to sacrifice so much of yourself so that you can have the life that you want. And the sacrifice, the people actually having to do the sacrifice is Black and brown people. It's not white people. And so we get this idea and feeling of like, well, what if I leave? What's going to happen? All I know is this. And I feel like we need to understand that all you know is all you know when you're there. If you choose to do the work like Satya's saying, what it consists of doing the shadow work, because things are difficult. We have to look at ourselves in mirrors, whether it's good or bad, whether we're having a good day or not. There are a lot of deep work that we refuse to go to because we're afraid of where it will lead. And sometimes we have to allow that to happen. And essentially, that is what's been happening since 2020. A lot of things happen in this world that literally switch things off its back. It's like we're in a completely different realm. And people keep trying so hard to go back to normal. Black people's normalcy has never been great, especially in the United States. We have always constantly have had to work over and over to just try to make it. Why stick to a place where you have to try to make it when you can go to a different country? You can go to Costa Rica. You can go to Colombia, where I'm at. You can learn different languages easily. You don't have to only speak English, okay? Because first of all, I'm from Haiti, and when I came here, English is my fourth language. And it was like ridiculous to me that everyone here only spoke one language. But they'll look at the world and try to make them feel weird as immigrants to come here, but you only have one language. Think about the way we've been conditioned. Think about the way you've been conditioned to think about yourself. Think about the way you've been conditioned to think about your Blackness and the country that has constantly perpetuated self-hatred, lack of confidence, right? Lack, just plain lack when it comes to finances, when it comes to family, the Black family, just straight lack. The relationship we have with our men Just think about it. You've been conditioned in so many ways that the idea of leaving depresses you. Your oppressor makes you feel bad for walking away. And it's like an abusive relationship, an emotionally abusive relationship. That's why we got to sit this one down. Things must break completely. And I have to keep telling Black people this in this moment. Hey, I don't want to hear anything about what's happening right now in the US, because when I was there, I expected this. Right now, I chose the life that I'm manifesting, and it is filled with joy. It is filled with, whenever I step out, I'm not saying this country is perfect. Every country has its issue, but I'm valued here, okay? I'm respected here. My voice counts here. When I talk about this pain and this issue, people go out of their way to work things out for me here. They don't make me feel like an issue here. And there are places that will see as you are complete. And America is not doing that. So do not try to be America's hero, because America has never been our hero.
Man.
Okay, Flex.
You
say that. If I can, I would love to add on to that part real quick.
That part, yes. And just to give you guys a heads up, I do have a meeting in 10 minutes. I'm happy to turn this. I want this room to stay open if possible. So if y'all on the stage, if any of y'all want to be moderator, I'm happy to pass that on. And yeah, this is like exactly what I envisioned us talking about. So I'm so grateful that you guys are here, all of you.
I'll go real quickly because I actually have to get off at 5:32. But I just want to touch on what Flex said right now. Yesterday, I had a conversation with my fiance, and I brought up, or I just posed this question to him: if he believed that Black people in America are undergoing a level of cognitive dissonance. And what I mean by that is some of us are of the party that this is our country, our ancestors worked for it, they died for it, they built it up. We have a right to be here, and we deserve to live a life where we can thrive here, absent of white supremacy and all the bullshit that we go through. And then on the other hand, we have Black people who feel like this will never be our country. Not going to. There's so many options out there for where we can live and thrive in peace. And at what point does it become a choice, essentially, to continue to live here, to continue to fight, to continue to try to make America be something that it's not? And so, you know, the idea came to my head. I wonder how my ancestors felt as they went through everything that they went through. Did they envision America becoming a country that was healthy and was a good environment for us? Or did they envision that one day my descendants are going to get out of here? They're never going to have to experience this kind of hell. And of course, you know, that's a question that we'll never truly know the answer to, but I'm interested to hear what anyone else in the room thinks about that. Are we going through some kind of cognitive dissonance?
What you said just brought me to a different state of awareness. Like, that's real, because at this point where we're all someone else's ancestors going forward. And what do we want for our generations to come? And what did our previous generations want for us? I've never even thought about that. Thank you for bringing that thought up. So if anyone has any response that they'd like to share with Gabby.
I mean, I know we both have to go because I have to do my sound check, but Gabby, when it comes to what the generation is expecting of us, I think I asked myself this a lot before I decided to leave and start just exciting out of this world. And I realized that before our family, sometimes courage skips a generation. And I just feel like this one, it didn't skip this generation. And I know a lot of people are looking at the millennials and like the Generation Z's, you know, whatever we're calling them, as like they're out of order, they just accept anything. But the amount of bravery and the amount of courage and the amount of like accountability that they are holding people at I've never seen it before in my life. And I am not saying that it didn't exist at times in many different ways and from our ancestors. Our ancestors did a lot, but the blood of our ancestors, the ones that were like, no, this is not okay. I feel like this generation is full of them. And I think when I think about that, I think about what kind of life would they want to have when I think about America. I'm like, what kind of life, if I have children, what kind of life do I want them to have? Is it just work? Is it just no peace of mind? Is it just, if you keep trying, you may get there? Is it like stay where you're not appreciated? Stay where your worthiness is constantly being questioned? Because sometimes your environment can add to your insecurities. And I feel that in many different ways that's what's been happening. And we have been nurturing and nourishing this abuser as if that's all we have. And so I think the next generation wants us to win, wants us to succeed, wants us to say no, wants us to use wisdom, and wants us to lead. That's what I think.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think that our ancestors definitely would have wanted us to use our options and explore leaving the United States. I do not think they would have wanted us to stay there, because if you look at history, it's almost as if nothing has changed. We're doing the same thing over and over. And so it's like, if you really want to break these generational curses, then you have to do something completely different. And I think leaving the United States is completely different.
Yes. And Satya, I'm so glad to see you on here. I just looked through all the profiles and followed you on all those platforms. And before, I know a lot of people may have to go at 5:30. Bree, just hop on. She will be keeping the room open, and there'll be other moderators that have availability coming up. So the conversation will keep going. Mainly to reset the room, we are here because we all see that there's a need in our world right now. There's a need amongst ourselves for us to heal from within. And we're talking about what are the different strategies that you might think of, the advice that you might share to the people listening. You might be sharing it with yourself, and just us growing together, us elevating, us becoming more aware of ourselves in our community. And that is when anything is possible. And if you are in the room, go ahead.
Alicia and Flex, I want to invite, well, everybody can come, but I want to invite you to, tomorrow we're going to have a talk on why Black people, Black women and men should do yoga. So I definitely want to invite you both to come and speak.
Yes.
Messages. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Satya, anything for you?
Yes, you too.
If you are in this room, please follow everyone on stage right now. Everyone on stage is a healer. Everyone on stage has a mission to make the world better than they found it. And if you are connected with anyone on this stage, you are that much better. You are that much more blessed. And I am so excited for all the people who will be receiving the benefits of you connecting to us. And that is really what this is about, is when we can spread out our influence for good, it then not only touches you, but it touches your children and your family and your parents and your grandparents and your cousins, or whoever you hang around is going to feel the benefits of you healing yourself. So I invite you, anytime you see me in a room, come and join. If you follow me, it'll give you an update on when I am in a room. If you see any of us in a conversation where you feel led to join and that it's aligned with you, then come and join us. Let's talk about it, because we're always on something that is to our benefit. And with that being said, I love you all, and I'm out. I have no idea what just happened. Did it just end? Clubhouse, did you just end? Okay, it looks like Clubhouse may be doing something funky, so I'm out. I'm out. All right, thank you for joining. If you are on Clubhouse, you can find me at Mastermind Yoga. And if you're not on Clubhouse, that is okay. I will be coming here to you live. Sometimes I've had my video on, sometimes not. And I will be sharing what we talk about on Clubhouse with you guys. So if you have Android or you're just not on Clubhouse yet, that's okay. Join me here. And I will see you on Instagram at Afro Yoga. The next conversation that I have scheduled, let me pull up, is Yoga Teacher, Are You Ready for Leadership? So that's happening tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. And then I'm a part of Morning Affirmations and then a meditation resolution. So all of those things, I will be going live on here. So I'm excited to spend more time with you guys. World peace through inner peace is the mission. Peace.